Sewing makes, thrifting, fabric, plans, all the sewing stuff coming up in this chatty sewing catch-up. I'm Sharon with Sharon Sews. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel where we talk all about sewing and fashion. Let's start with the makes, since I'm wearing one. This make that I'm wearing, this top that I'm wearing, is 9604 Simplicity. Now I purchased this pattern because of the neckline. I have a ready-to-wear top that I bought maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago when we visited family in Minnesota, and it had this same neckline, and I really liked that top a lot. So when I saw this pattern, I knew I wanted to sew it. The fabric is a rayon. It is, let me grab my glasses, bookish romance novel floral rayon raspberry from Style Maker Fabrics. Because I do have a larger bust, I did want to make sure that I had fabric that was really nice, soft and flowy, so that I think otherwise it would tent out on you. So if you do want to sew this, keep that in mind. A little tip for you, if you do sew this one, there's a lot of pleats along the neckline and also along the back neckline. I got lazy, as I often do when I'm making pleats. I folded them, I did a light press, and then I just did a basting stitch in the seam line, right along the seam line. Well, you need to actually baste them down until you get this facing in. I had one heck of a time trying to get the facing to stay in place properly. It still wants to flip up a little bit. I do have it tacked at all of the seam lines. I might lightly tack it at some of the pleats, see if that helps. Overall, I would definitely sew this pattern again. The Nazari hoodie. This is an itch to stitch design. This was actually my first make that I completed in 2023. There's a full bust option and a regular bust option. There are pockets in the front, and there's a separating zipper. It does have an unlined hood and a couple other nice little features that I just wanted to show you quickly. Here's my jacket. This fabric is divine. Here, let's take it off. And it's got this great stretch to it. I purchased it from Esther Harris maybe 4, possibly 5 years ago. The larger location in the activewear section, activewear, dancewear, all the lycra knits. It was labeled a yoga company, and I do not remember the name of that company, but it's actually rather heavy. I remember purchasing it thinking I would make leggings. Well, I don't make leggings, I just buy them. And it's also a little heavy, in my opinion, for leggings, but it worked beautifully in this jacket. So look at this nice little, she gives you instructions to use twill tape to finish the inside of your zipper and also along the seam line at the hood. So as I'm pattern testing this, whenever I agree to pattern test, I verify that I have in my stash what I need. I live an hour away from a Joann fabric store. That's the closest fabric store for me, besides a Hobby Lobby and a Walmart. Oh, I've got puppy hair floating around here. Sorry about that. Anyway, this required a 22-inch separating zipper. Checked, I've got a great big tub of zippers. So I just verified I had 22-inch, had the size I needed. I started testing, realized that I forgot to check if it was a separating zipper. So I did not have a separating zipper. I ordered some zippers. Wouldn't you know it, the shipment got delayed, and it wasn't going to be here until after the test was due. So my option was Walmart or Hobby Lobby. Walmart has basically nothing in terms of zippers. Hobby Lobby had one 22-inch separating zipper. It was this multicolor kind of rainbow, pastel rainbowy zipper, and I grabbed it. I'm like, I'm gonna make it work. So I came home, I had the zipper, then I had to find the fabric to go with the zipper, dug through my deep stash, found this, and I have to say, I'm really happy I had to find a zipper because this fabric is absolutely perfect for this jacket. Another pattern that I tested for itch to stitch is the Nestle joggers. So this pattern, what I like about it, it's a slim fit. I like a slim fit on a jogger. It has pockets right here. I just have a pretend drawstring because I didn't have a really long drawstring, but you can have that option to put the drawstring all the way around. There's wide elastic. There's 3 leg options. I sewed this straight split hem version. There's also an option to go capri length with a cuff and ankle length with a cuff, kind of a more traditional jogger. This is a French terry from Mettler Textiles that I purchased to sew a different pair of pants that I just, of course, never got around to it. This worked well for the test. I started out sewing it out of an athletic knit, and when I was done, I realized this looked more like leggings than joggers. And when I'm testing a pattern, especially when we give her permission to use our test photos, I want to make sure that it's a cute look. I don't really like it in this fabric anyway, just an FYI. Don't choose a legging athletic knit. That one's out of there. One thing that I do want to share with you, when I sewed the straight seams on here on my sewing machine, I did not use a narrow little zigzag, which is what I typically do when I sew knits on my sewing machine. I used this thread. This is from Mettler. It's called Seraflex. It's got a little, you know, it's white. You're not gonna be able to see it. It's got a little stretch to it. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. I did receive sample of this thread as a BERNINA Ambassador when I first joined BERNINA a year ago. And it's taken me a while to try it, but I really like it. And I've been using it more and more often. The other thing that I've sewn recently is this Guy Laroche Vogue pattern 1339. This is from 2013. I remember when this first came out, I bought the pattern because I wanted to sew it. Obviously, I waited almost 10 years. Oh, actually, I did wait 10 years because this is 2023 to sew it. At the time, who remembers Hancock Fabrics? I was at, was it an ASG meeting or a Professional Sewing Association meeting? I don't recall, but there was one Hancock Fabric location in Minnesota that had a basement where you could do meetings. I remember being at the meeting for something, I bet it was ASG, and one of the employees of one of the employees of Hancock Fabrics had this on sewing, and it was so gorgeous. Well, you know, 10 years later, I finally sewed it. I sewed it as part of, or I was going to sew it as part of the Little Red Dress project that took place in December. You might recall that I shared a video of the dress that I did end up sewing. This is a really nice rayon knit from Metro Textiles. I looked at the pattern and I thought, oh, this isn't going to be so bad. It's rated average. If it's average, I can whip it up pretty quickly. What a pain. This skirt part was really, really annoying. First of all, pattern pieces are huge. It's one pattern piece and it comes together. It's pleated. It comes around stitched together. And then everything is left raw edge. It's just a pain. It was just so big. Then when I got to the point where I had to do the pleats and then I had to do the ruching and it just wasn't working out that well. So this one I would probably recommend doing tailor tacks would probably be the best way to mark this. I had marked with chalk and what had happened is it had rubbed off as I was working on it. It's got a nice drapey bodice. There's a lot of room to it. I sewed a size 14, went to a 16 in the hip, which is pretty typical for me based on my measurements. What I will say is I probably could have went down to a 14, maybe even tighter in the hip area. You have got to have a really tight stretch to make this skirt portion work. You can see from the back photo that I have that it does droop a little bit, but you know what? For as often as I'm really gonna wear this, it doesn't matter. The end of last year, BERNINA announced their 2023 BERNINA Ambassadors. I will link to the announcement in the description box below if you wanna go see who they all are. One of them was Kelly from Project Runway. I absolutely adored her in Project Runway. My time as a BERNINA Ambassador was amazing. I absolutely loved the staff at BERNINA, everyone that I dealt with. I absolutely had the best BERNINA dealer. That is Katie with a Nimble Thimble in Tyler, Texas. If you live anywhere near, highly, highly recommend that shop and Katie. I can't speak enough about her. I should do a video so y'all could meet her. I just feel so blessed that that's the dealer that I am working with. And I probably never would have met Sue with Suki Sews without the opportunity to be a BERNINA Ambassador. That's why I'm super excited to let you know that I am going to be an official BERNINA Ambassador again for the year 2023. Super excited about that. I will continue to use my BERNINA 770 QE+. I did an unboxing of that when I first got it and didn't know anything about BERNINAs. I'll link that if you're interested in looking at that. And in 2023, I am going to be focused on garment sewing. With my garment focus, I'm going to be showing a little bit more of embellishments for those of us that don't have embroidery machines. How to use some of those decorative stitches, how to use some of the functions on your sewing machine to really elevate your sewing. I'm going to show how to hack patterns. I'm going to share how to do a full bust adjustment on a pattern that doesn't have a dart. Little things like that. That'll be on the We All Sew blog. I'll also be going live throughout the year. I'll be going live on Facebook and or Instagram. I'm really excited about that. I think I commented this on Jen today in Jen's sewing room on one of her videos. I was a Pfaff sewing machine user, had one for years and years and years. I'm friends with Cheryl Wiederspan, who used to have a pattern company called Homestead Specialties. She sold patterns for quilted clothing. You might remember the vest worn, oh shoot, sorry Cheryl, what was it? 20 ways, 24 ways, buttoned here and here, and you flipped and flopped and all kinds of fun things. Anyway, she had a Pfaff. That's how I heard about a Pfaff. I started sewing with a Pfaff, but when I had a chance to have a Bernina, I'm now a Bernina girl through and through. Love the Bernina. What about you? What are you sewing with? Pfaff, Bernina, or what's your favorite? Would love to hear. I'm curious, how many of you enjoy thrift shopping? I'm a thrifter from when I was about this big. My parents loved thrift stores, garage sales, all those things. I've always liked thrifting, but I'm married to someone who's not too fond of it. However, I got him to go into a thrift store the other day where we're just looking for some artwork for some of our walls in the house. I love to sew. I'm pretty good at fashion and putting things together, but when it comes to decorating, I just don't have the interest. And we've got a lot of bare walls, so we popped into a thrift store. We just look for artwork in the thrift stores. They're better prices. They're usually unique. Didn't find much that time. Found this little mirror. As you can see, it's a little dirty. While I was in that thrift store, I had to look to see if there's any sewing supplies. They also had a couple pieces of fabric rolled up. I picked it up because it said there was 5 yards, and I thought, oh, that'd be good for testing patterns. This is a quilting cotton. As you can see, is it upside down? Yeah. It's cute, kind of cute. Might actually make a camp shirt out of it. But it said 5 yards. I got it home and washed it and measured it. There's like 8 yards. And there was another piece of fabric. I bought this because it's got flamingos. If you don't know, I love flamingos. I'm one of those people that if you think you're gonna prank me by putting all kinds of flamingos in the front yard, I'm just gonna thank you because I'm gonna think that's awesome. This one didn't have any mark as to how much yardage there was. I measured it, no, I don't remember. There was 8 yards. You know what? There was 8 yards of this and there was 6 yards of this, but still. So I spent $10. I've got quite a bit of fabric there. I gotta go check and see what the dogs are barking at. I'll be right back. I don't know what she was barking at. I went to check and the big one is sleeping. The big puppy's sleeping. The other one, someone probably was walking the dog in front of the house and she was just letting me know someone was invading her space. Anyway, we were talking about fabric. I won a beautiful piece of silk from Elliot Berman Textiles. They have a giveaway, Friday giveaway on Instagram. If you're not following them, go follow them. And here it is. Unfortunately, yellow's not really my color. I probably should have paid more attention to what was being given away that week, but it's okay. It's still super exciting to win a beautiful piece of fabric, and this is indeed gorgeous. It's silk, it's really nice weight. I think it would be a really pretty summer dress, and maybe if I do something else along my face to kind of frame my face with a different color, it could work. Otherwise, my best friend is a beautiful blonde, and this would look beautiful on her. So maybe I would sew something for her instead. I know I mentioned in a previous Friday Sews video or one of our sewing chat videos that we had gotten a puppy. So we have a 5-year-old dog who is a little bit smaller. She's a Dachshund Border Collie mix, and that's a guess because she was a rescue puppy. And then we have our puppy who is 7 months old. She's about 60 pounds. She is a Great Pyrenees Husky mix. Wow, we just look at each other sometimes and say, we are too old for this. It is really hard. I forgot how hard puppies are. And then when you have one that is so large, we look at her and we have to remind ourselves that she's just a puppy. She's got a puppy brain, even though she looks like an adult dog. She can be a little challenging at times. The ultimate goal is to go through training where she could be a therapy dog and go to a senior home or a hospital or something like that. She's a very good-natured dog, and I think she would be good in that role. I know by now there are a lot of sewing vloggers that have already posted their plans for Make 9. They've even sewn some of their Make 9. They have monthly sewing plans. They have yearly goals. I don't have that. I do have a couple plans in the immediate future of things that I want to get done, but I haven't made any grandiose plans because I know me. I am really a, what do I feel like sewing today kind of person. That being said, there's a couple things that I do want to sew. First of all, I want to sew this Sandra Bitsina dress. No, I want to sew the top. I always think I want to sew dresses, but I don't wear dresses that often. So I'm going to sew the top. This is Vogue 1904. Speaking of Sandra Bitsina, do you get her newsletter? If you get her newsletter, you already know this. She announced that she's officially retiring. She is so talented, so knowledgeable, and she shared so freely what she knows over the years. If you've ever interacted with her, you don't forget it. She's just that nice. And she recently was interviewed on a YouTube channel, and I'm drawing a blank, but I will link it right here, and I'll put the title here, and I'll put it in the description box below. It was just a really fun interview. One thing Sandra said that struck with me is she said, I never thought I would be so happy at this point in my life. And I believe she said she was 80 years old. I hope when I'm 80, I can say the same thing, that I just can't believe that I am still so happy. One thing that I wish she would do, I wish she would put together a book of all the outfits she has sewn over the years. If you have the Power Sewing books, you know that a few of them have a couple of her outfits in them. How fun would that be to see photos of everything she has sewn? Talented lady, and so grateful for what she has given to the sewing community. Currently on my cutting table and on my sewing machine, because I actually have started sewing it, is this Burda top. This is from the January 2023 issue magazine, and it's blouse number 104. It's a little difficult to see the details, but the sleeve, it's large and it's all pleated. Here, let's see. Here's the sleeve, it's pleated already. So that's number 1 make that I'm currently working on. Next on my plans is the Cashmerette Club. I've sewed this one, Carlisle t-shirt. I've sewed the Gilmore skirt. I've sewed the Montrose top expansion. I sewed the Ashwood pants. And I sewed the, how do I pronounce that? Avola top. Now I did receive the club free for last year in exchange for sewing some garments and posting them on social media. And the ones that I sewed as part of this agreement, they did share on their social also. Well, I liked the club so much that I'm actually joining it again for 2023. The disadvantage of not being one of the contributors is I no longer get the sneak peek of what is coming out. I always got the new pattern a week before it was released. I didn't always have time to start sewing on it, unfortunately. That's one of my goals for the beginning of this year. I want to finish all of the club patterns from 2022. That includes this dress, this shrug, this robe, this dress, these panties, this hoodie dress, the latest quilted vest. I don't have this printed yet, as you can see. The bomber jacket. You know, I might not do the bomber jacket. I know if you're in a cold weather state or environment, you're not going to want to hear me say this, but it just doesn't get cold long enough to wear a lot of jackets. So I'm not sure if I want to invest my sewing time into the bomber. On the other hand, I kind of want to do the whole year of projects. That is on my to-do sew. I have one that's currently being sewn, and that's the Wexford top. I'm sewing that for my daughter. I sewed myself the Wexford dress last summer, and it's packed away at the moment. I don't think I've shared that one with you yet. Another sewing club that I joined for 2023 is the Sewing Workshop Sew Confident series. I had joined it last year and the year before. I've enjoyed it. I haven't sewn all the projects. So I started 2023 enthusiastically going to do every single project in the month that the project is introduced. We got off to a bad start. The first project was a beautiful baby whale corduroy jacket based on the Now jacket pattern. And they offer kits. Sometimes I enjoy buying the kits. It's fabric that I couldn't find elsewhere, or I just really like the color or whatever. I just want to be part of the club. And they released them on the 1st of the month. So I placed my order like at 7 or 8 in the morning on January 1st when it was released. And it sat as pending. The video tutorial from Linda Lee came out, the Q&A from Linda Lee came out, and I still didn't have my kit. I finally followed up on it, and they replied to my email, oops, sorry, the fabric had been out of stock and it should ship soon. You should have gotten an email. And like the next email I got was shipping confirmation. I think my order was in and got forgotten or missed or whatever. I know those things happen, but I was just a little disappointed and I lost my enthusiasm for that project. Plus it's too warm now. This is really pretty though. The fabric is divine. Isn't that a beautiful color? And it works on me so well. If I spend my time sewing it now, it's not going to get worn. I might have to tuck this one away till the fall. One more that's on my short list of sewing is the Style Arc Esther woven dress. I do like the two-tone, and I might do some type of embellishment along the hemline. What are your sewing plans? Leave it for me in the comments below. How many of you saw my little short where I went through this little booklet? I hope you had a chance to look at it. I hope you enjoyed it. I have some more. 1972, 1973. I'm going to go ahead and put some shorts together so you can go through these little booklets with me. Kind of fun to look at the past fashions, and I also get a kick out of seeing how much they just cycle back around and around and around. If you enjoyed this video, check out one of my other ones. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you have a blessed day. Happy sewing. What's this? Is that 3? I was gonna say fabric. This isn't fabric. Thought I was gonna knock this over. I've been working on a 2023 spring, it's hard to say. She's got a little bit of the stubbornness because of the breed that she is, and stubbornness. Okay, cut.